Good Monday morning, everybody. Welcome to Arnie's Fantasy World of Sports. And first of all, shout out to Lenny. What a great Monday morning show. Way to start the week. Love listening to the show and getting those nuggets and just playing fantasy sports. And that's what we're about today. We're going to talk about the futures game. We're going to talk National League and second half. I don't think in this hour I've got enough time to really cover both the American League and the National League. So we're going to start in the National League today and go through what some players have done. Good morning, Cha-Cha. It's great to see you in the chat room still with me. I hope all you other guys are there and will stay with us today. I got nothing pre-recorded. I got no audio clips. You just got me live. We got a lot to talk about. Let's start with the standings as we go into the All-Star break. And we're going to start with the American League because after I finish the standings, the primary discussion today will be National League second half. We'll do the American League second half tomorrow, okay? So, and tomorrow we'll also talk about the Home Run Derby. We're going to touch on that a little bit maybe today if we have time. Certainly that's going to be exciting tonight. No baseball until Thursday. So after today, we're going to be not going over box scores for a few days, not talking about statistics, but talking about players to look for, add, drop, second half. You're in the chat room. Good morning, Lenny. And I'm looking for questions. If you want to talk players, we'll do that. But here's the standings as we go into the All-Star break. The American League, the Yankees, at 57-31, have the best record in the American League, even though they have lost two in a row to Tampa over the weekend. They have a run differential positive of 113, only second in the American League, trailing the Twins, who have a run differential of a positive 116. The Tampa Bay Rays are in second place this morning, 6.5 games behind the Yankees. They've won 52 games going into the break. I always like to say, and I think I said this last week, I like to look at teams who have 50 wins going into the All-Star break, and typically I like to think they are the favorites for wild card or division. In the American League this morning, there are 6 teams with 50 wins or more, and one team at 49 and one team at 48. We'll talk about all those. But in the American League East right now, the Yankees and the Rays, 57 wins, 52 wins. And the Red Sox, they're one of those teams. They're at 49. They're 49-41. They're 9 games out behind the Yankees. They have won 4 in a row. Just complete a 4-game sweep at Detroit. A 3-game sweep at Detroit. They had won one prior to that. They opened the second half at home against the Dodgers. So that should be an exciting series. We're going to talk about the Dodgers as we break down players in just a few moments. But I think as we open the second half, Boston at home against the Dodgers next weekend will be an exciting series. Not so big for the Dodgers, but huge for the Red Sox. If they're going to be contenders going forward with, they've played 90 games, so they've got 72 games left to play, and all 72 are precious to the Red Sox. So that's just a look at the American League East as we move to the Central. What's going on in Cleveland? Telling you, if you counted the Cleveland Indians out, and we're going to talk about their players tomorrow as we dig deep into Cleveland Indian American League Central lore, but if you were counting the Cleveland Indians out, you were wrong. Cleveland, they're a 50-win team at the All-Star break. Who'd have thunk it? They've won 6 in a row. Lenny talked about Trevor Bauer and Andrea going to see him. I can't wait to see pictures from that. Lenny, I collect autographs. I always ask. Probably won't get, but give me an autograph, Lenny. I can't wait to get one from Trevor Bauer. Anyway, he's big for second half. And maybe Ramirez continue. We'll talk about all this tomorrow, but they're only 5.5 games behind Minnesota. And guess who plays each other to start the second half next weekend? In Cleveland. Minnesota and Cleveland. That's right. That didn't take a genius to figure out. Probably already knew it anyway. But Minnesota opens the second half in Cleveland. And just imagine, let's just think, if you're not fans of either team, What about if Cleveland were to sweep the Twins next weekend at home? First of all, can you imagine the buzz around Cleveland? Second of all, they'd only be 2.5 games out of first place in the Central. And considering the first half that the Twins have had, don't you think that's going to be a little bit of a deflation, if not a huge one? Andrea, thank you. I love you for that. I will totally try to get you an autograph, Arnie. I'm into that one. But if you don't, hey, I understand. Just send me a picture of you with Trevor Bauer. That would just be incredible, too. But I'm looking for Cleveland to make a big move. I tell you another thing that I think is, I want to save some of my show for tomorrow. I've already worked on it, but we're going to talk about their players. But, Santana, Bowers, even Ramirez is starting to hit a little. And I'm not a big Ramirez fan. But if Cleveland can get the hitting together, oh boy, what an exciting second half it might be in the American League Central Division between the Twins and the Indians. Out west, Houston 57-33, a 7.5 game lead over Oakland. Oakland's won 50 games as well. They're 50-41. Texas, I told you one team had 48 wins in the American League. It's the Texas Rangers. They are 48-42, not playing as well of late. But they did win yesterday at Minnesota. In fact, all three of those teams won yesterday. Oakland won at Seattle 7-4, and Houston won. What a barn burner that was! Mike Trout hits 2 home runs yesterday for the Angels, and they lose the game 11-10. And Houston, they just continue to hit. Again, I'm saving some of my show, but up and down the order yesterday, if you look at the box score, it was just an incredible situation. Those guys up and down the order yesterday for Houston, and I'm going to give you that box score again, 11-10. But Springer, he went 3 for 7. Altuve 2 for 6. Bregman did go 0 for yesterday. Brantley 4 for 6. Gurriel, Lenny mentioned him, on fire. I was dogging him a few weeks ago. I guess he heard the show. I'm glad I'm glad to know players listen to the show, because when they do and I dog them, they get hot. So if you got a player you want me to get on this morning, I know they're listening because they're off for the All-Star break, send me a message in the chat room. I'll dog him a little bit, and he'll get hot for your fantasy team. How about that? Santana ranked 8th overall for offense. He is incredible this year. Again, I got a segment on him tomorrow, but he's incredible. Looking back at this box score, got about Gurriel. Alvarez, the rookie, continues to blast. He's at 342 on the year. If you added him in fantasy, consider yourself fortunate. 3 for 5 with 3 RBIs yesterday. Even Tyler White. Yeah, let's hear it for Tyler White, because anybody gets on Tyler White, it's this prop podcaster. Tyler White went 3 for 5. Kemp hit a homer, 1 for 2. I'm just telling you, they were killing it yesterday, hitting the ball. Urquidy did not pitch well. I'm not high on him. Houston's had a problem with that fifth starter all year. The great thing is when you get to the playoffs, you don't need a fifth starter. And they're going to win that division in all likelihood, barring a collapse. They're also going to get back Correa shortly after the All-Star break. That will solidify that offense. I think that'll be the end of the Tyler White regime in Houston. Okay? And Andrea says he heard I traded away Judge for him. Yeah, I tell you, when you trade a player, they go off. When I dog them on the podcast, they go off. So, again, let me know you want me to dog this morning. The dog days are here. I can dog them. They'll get hot for your fantasy team, and everybody will win. There you go. And Texas is 9 games out. So that's the American League. As far as the standings, now let's look at the wild card, because it's not too early to talk about it. And this wild card race, it's going to go down to the last week. It just is. Of course, the Yankees, Twins, and Houston leading the divisions. Tampa leads the first wild card by only a half game this morning over Cleveland. Cleveland leads the second wild card by a game and a half over the Swinging A's out of Oakland. Boston 2 games out of the second wild card. Texas 3 games out of the second wild card. And from there, it kind of drops off precipitously. The Angels are 6.5 out. The White Sox 7 out. Everyone else is double digits. No one else is really a factor. I think you can probably consider the White Sox out. just because of the fact there's so many teams to jump over. The Angels, I mentioned I'm going to talk about the Futures game at the end of the show today. They've got a kid named Joe Adele who may be up in the second half, who can run like a deer, who can hit with power. He could certainly help the Angels, but they're 6.5 out. And the Angels have responded well since Tyler Skaggs' passing, but you just wonder how long will they be relevant. They're 45-46. They've lost 2 in a row heading into the break. They open the second half at home against Seattle. So if they have any chance of contending, they've got to open up strong, in my opinion, to start that second half. So that's a look at the American League standings on this Monday morning prior to Home Run Derby Day. In the National League, let's do the standings, and we'll talk about some players, okay? Lenny, good morning. Andrea, good morning. Let me talk about who's live in the chat room as I click hopefully my computer will work. Let's see. I got Guest Jet. I guess that's from last week, maybe not live, saying happy 54th. Well, my birthday was last week. It's 6 days away. Lou Landers, good morning. Beach Bum, Cam, DK Loosh, George, Jack Youngblood, always a great one to have. Guest Jarrett, Guest Christian. If you are a guest, and I love seeing guests in the chat room, don't take this the wrong way, but if you are a guest and you're in the chat room, we would love for you to register. And there are so many talented podcasters. I love listening. Let me just tell you the schedule today as I'm looking at it. Of course, every morning at 9. Now, tomorrow morning at 9, you get cheated a little. I'm going to be filling in for Lenny tomorrow morning, so, hey, bear with me. But Lenny does just an awesome show and is a great guy, a great friend. He's every morning at 9. Pitches Get Stitches with Joel today at 12:30. I understand that there is no Aloha, no Kevin today. Cam will be on at 5:30. At 7 tonight, George will be on, the Roto Imbecile. At 8, that guy, Baseball Chuck and Andrea. And at 9, Sports Buffet with Lou and Ron. And then at 11, if you're still up late, now, Lenny, that may not be you and me, but Fantasy Fisticuffs with Dan Gilbert on at 11 tonight. I mean, this podcast is just growing leaps and bounds. People are listening, and I'm so glad that you are one of those. National League standings, Atlanta. The Braves, who I've been promoting now after 91 games with 71 to go, they're 54-37. They have a 6-game lead over the second place Washington Nationals. Yes, the Nats, who I have been telling you for weeks, don't count them out. The pitching is way too good. If you look at those 3 starters, I was reading some stats on Twitter, but these 3 starters, it's like I don't know if the first time, but it's rare that they have over 125 strikeouts at the All-Star break. Okay, you got 3 there. Strasburg, Corbin, and of course, the one, the only, Mad Max Scherzer. And that pitching is not going away. And in a year where pitching is thin, you got to be in love, if you love pitching, with that national staff. And they're just going to continue to dominate, in my opinion. Their run differential is only plus 29, but it wasn't long ago the Washington Nationals were 5 or 6 games under 500. And as we look at it, the All-Star break, they are 5 games over 500 at 47-42. And they open the second half. I love this schedule. At Philadelphia, who's in third place now at 47-43, 6.5 games behind the first place Atlanta Braves. And then after that, it falls off. The Mets. I read Callaway saying over the weekend, I was reading some articles. I try to read so I can learn, right? And Callaway saying that, hey, we're not out of it, and just went on and on. Well, let me let you in on a little secret, Mickey Callaway. The Mets are out of it. And if you're in the chat room and you don't agree with me, let me know. And I tell you a pitcher who's just really, Zach Wheeler. I mean, you look at this kid, his mound presence, his ability, and you think, he's a great pitcher. And I'd love to have him on my team, both reality-wise and fantasy-wise. Do you ever feel that way, looking at him pitch? And then do you ever go look at the box score and look at his